All right. Hello, everyone. Meredith knows this, but for whatever reason, I'm having internet issues. So if I drop out during this 1 minute spiel, Meredith will jump right in and start her webinar. But welcome, everyone. I'm sure you all know me by now. My name is Shayna. I'm the managing director here at Host Agency Reviews. I am so excited to welcome back Meredith from the amazing host agency Gifted Travel Network. Thank you for coming back. We're excited to have you. In this webinar, Gifted will share more about how industry data shows that the average income for travel advisors leaves you stuck in what they call the break-even phase of business, where you're busy booking trips, but barely covering your expenses, and you're not paying yourselves a salary. So you'll discover the shocking math behind why booking more trips isn't the solution, and discovering the one logical solution that can multiply your income without working more hours, and learn about the 3 critical blind spots that keep most advisors stuck, unable to grow revenues faster than expenses. And whether you're waiting to quit your full-time job or oh my God, my internet's perfectly fine. I can't speak today. But whether you're waiting to quit your full-time job until your part-time travel business starts to generate more cash flow, or you're working full-time but frustrated with your results, this session will show you exactly what's missing from your current approach and give you a preview of the proven framework that's helped hundreds of advisors build 7-figure businesses while creating the freedom and lifestyle they've always wanted. I am beyond excited to listen to this. So I am going to give you all listening one final reminder, and then I am handing it right over. Please feel free to post your questions into the comment section. Yours truly will be in the comment section with you today. So I will be hanging out in there to make sure I catch as many of your questions as we can. If there's time at the end, which there should be, Meredith always leaves us some time, I'm going to jump back in and I will get through and ask as many questions as possible. We love comments too, so feel free to get involved in the chat, share your thoughts, let Meredith know that you're really excited about what she's talking about, and I will definitely share those with her too. So without further ado, and my internet's still working, I'm going to hand this over to Meredith.
Awesome. Thank you, Shayna. Very, very cool to be able to speak on a topic today that is something that I'm incredibly passionate about. And it's also very near and dear to my heart. So I can relate to being stuck in the break-even plateau. And when you are stuck there, and if you're, on this presentation today, you probably are tired of pretending that things are really good when they're not, and tired of waiting for your business to turn around, and just, kind of hoping and praying that things will just turn around so that you can finally quit the job that is really draining you. And the reason why I can relate to that is because I have been there myself. Many years ago, I left a very successful career on Wall Street to start a travel business. And I spent the first 5 years winging it and stuck in the accidental hobbyist trap myself. And, I won't go into the long and gory details of it, but I felt all of those things. I made all of the mistakes that I see travel advisors making today. But I made a decision 5 years in to figure this out. And so I looked outside the travel industry, invested in business coaching, and ultimately turned my own business around and started attracting luxury travel clients, and got to the place where I was growing my sales, growing my revenues faster than my expenses, was able to hire a team of people. And just when things were so wonderful and I could kick back and relax a little bit, my entrepreneurial spirit got me, all hyped up again. And I decided to, leave that travel business, sell my half to my business partner, and start the Global Institute for Travel Entrepreneurs. And that was 2011. The acronym of that is GIFT. And that is where the name Gifted Travel Network comes from, because that was basically the first evolution of Gifted Travel Network. And that is where I started, on this mission to help people monetize a passion for travel. And so today I am co-founder of Gifted Travel Network. My current role at Gifted Travel Network is Chief Membership Development Officer, which means I am in charge of speaking to experienced advisors, and I am also running the team that is recruiting new to the industry advisors to our travel MBA program. All right, let me see how I can advance to the next slide. So, what is the accidental hobbyist epidemic? Not pandemic. So, Host Agency Reviews conducts a survey every single year, which then produces this hosted travel advisor report, which is excellent, incredibly good work by the Host Agency Reviews team. And I started to get curious, and in the 2024 report, one of the survey questions was the average travel advisor income as well as average sales for travel advisors. And the average travel advisor income in the 2024 report was $52,636, just over $52,000 a year. And the average sales was just over $517,000 a year, which, at first glance sounds very promising. And actually, if you look at the years prior, that has been trending up significantly since the pandemic. So that's a really good trend. But when you get to the, dig down and as a coach, someone who's been coaching advisors for the last 15 years, I understand that unfortunately that is a break-even point of the business. That $52,000 is total revenue generated, and that doesn't account for any of your operating expenses or paying yourself anything. And by the time you account for operating expenses, including your own travel expenses, which you need to be putting through your business, and is a very legitimate expense, you're lucky to be making any kind of a profit with that revenue threshold. So since I've been coaching advisors for the last 15 years, I started to see a pattern. I would have people come to me asking questions about how to get to where they want to be. And ultimately, I realized that if we break down the journey, the entrepreneurial journey, into phases based upon where you are in your sales, it's easier to figure out what to focus on in that phase. And so I came up with this phases to the business chart that you see here, which really helps everybody identify where they are and then figure out what they should be focused on, with the understanding that phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, there's nothing wrong with those phases if you're in those phases, but they should be temporary, and your ultimate goal should be to get to phase 4 and stay there. And that is where it becomes a viable career choice. So phase 1 is when your sales are from 0 to $199 in $199,000 in a 12-month window of time. When you are in phase 1, your revenues are going to be anywhere from $0 to $25,000 a year. You should not be making money. Your expenses will exceed your revenues in phase 1. That's part of being in business. And when you're in this phase, you want to be focusing on business setup, fundamentals, the foundations of business setup. But the also incredibly important thing you should be focused on is branding. And I think a lot of people rush through that or do it the wrong way. In phase 2, your sales are going to be anywhere between $200,000 and $600,000 in a 12-month period of time. When you have grown to this phase, your revenues are going to be anywhere between $20,000 and $65,000 a year. And this is what I call the break-even phase. This is where your revenues are probably at about the same as your expenses. They might be a little bit more than your expenses. They might be a little bit less than your expenses. And when you are in phase 2 of the business, this is where you need to be building an effective sales funnel. This is where you need to be working on establishing your marketing systems, your marketing foundation, so that you are building a book of business. Then phase 3 is anywhere from $600,000 to $1 million in sales. This is where you finally cross over into the green for making money, where your revenues should be outpacing a little bit, just a little bit, outpacing your expenses. And when you are in this phase, you should be figuring out how to scale the business for growth, so you don't end up like Lucy and Ethel, which I'll get to in a second, in the very famous episode where they work in that chocolate factory. And then phase 4 is $1 million and beyond. And by beyond, I'm talking, it can go, way beyond $1 million in sales. Your revenues will be in the $120,000 and up range. This is where you have a sustainable, viable, legitimate business. And when you've achieved the phase 4, you want to be shifting into being a leader of your business, no longer the cog that is kind of getting, spinning plates and keeping track of everything. You need to be delegating. You need to be getting out of the managerial position and stepping into the leader of your business. And like I said, if you overlay those two numbers from the host agency review report, the $517,000 in sales, as well as the $52,000 in income, firmly plants the average travel advisor in the break-even phase. So what that means is, if you find yourself in phase 2 of the business, I want you to know that you're not alone. And that is something that I had to figure out. I mean, I went through 5 years of feeling incredibly ashamed of being at break even, because I was an analyst on Wall Street. I know numbers. I know what makes for a good business and what makes for a not so good business. And so it was very, very shameful from my perspective to feel like I was in this break even. And I thought I was the only one, until I figured out that I wasn't. And that is one of the reasons why I started GIFT, the Global Institute for Travel Entrepreneurs. So in my years of experience coaching advisors, I want to share with you the 3 most common blind spots that are the reason why so many people are falling into the accidental hobbyist trap. Blind spot number 1 is not really understanding how to monetize the business, not really understanding how to grow your revenues faster than expenses. And the solution to that is to monetize the business. Figure out how to grow your revenues faster than your expenses. And I'll talk to this more specifically in a second, but I just want to uncover the blind spots. Oh, shoot, that keeps coming up. I'm sorry about that little pop-up. It's really close to my advance to the next slide button. Blind spot number 2 is you got to understand how to properly market your business or systematically attract ideal clients, not just any old clients, ideal clients. And we are a little bit fanatical about that at Gifted Travel Network, and teaching our advisors how to do that. And blind spot number 3 is not really understanding how to manage the operations of your business. In other words, not knowing how to scale for growth. And there's a couple of ways to do that, and I'm going to offer some tips today on how to do that. So let's talk about blind spot number 1. If you're not properly monetizing your business, you're probably taking any and all business that comes your way. You're probably not charging a service fee or waiving it, or not charging a high enough service fee. And you're probably not as clear on your messaging or specialization as you could be. If you are falling into blind spot number 2, you're skipping your core message development. You might be thinking you need to DIY your marketing because you don't have the budget to invest in a very expensive graphic designer and website developer. So you DIY your branding, but when you DIY your branding, you attract clients that are DIYers, and DIY clients are not the best clients for travel advisors. It's not a match. They are the kind of people that need to be finding the online booking engines. Maybe you're becoming dependent on your host for leads that they're providing you. In my role as Chief Membership Development Officer, I speak to experienced advisors almost every single day from other hosts who are considering moving to Gifted Travel Network. And this is something that keeps coming up. I am surprised at how many advisors they're asking me, do we provide leads to Gifted Travel Network? And quite honestly, our philosophy is, if we're providing leads, it's almost enabling you from being effective at marketing. If we provide you leads, we're not teaching you how to actually get the leads yourself. And our philosophy is that you're a travel entrepreneur and you should be able to build your own book of business with effective marketing. And the last marketing mistake we see when people are guilty of blind spot number 2 is the spray and pray marketing tactics with no systems. For example, my consortia has all these great marketing materials. Let me just opt my clients into these marketing materials. Well, the problem with that is, look, we're with Virtuoso, and the marketing that Virtuoso puts out is incredible. And Virtuoso has unbelievably powerful statistics on how effective their marketing is. So this is not a criticism to the marketing put out by consortia or your host agency, or maybe even the partners that you can go directly with and participate in their marketing campaigns. It's that it is a very small portion of the marketing that you should be doing. And the other problem with it is, if you don't have a list that's growing so that you're continuing to add more and more people to those marketing campaigns, your business is going to grow at the rate of a snail. So they're effective, but you need a list to begin with. And they're not helping you with list building. But also, that's not the only marketing you should be doing. And if you're relying on that for all of your marketing, then you're missing a lot of pieces to the puzzle. And blind spot number 3 is managing the operations, not really truly understanding how to scale for growth. And so you might feel, if you have gotten to the point where you are, you've grown the business pretty significantly, but now you're feeling like you're going to drop a ball, and you're waking up at 3:00 in the morning with the 3 a.m. sweats because, oh my gosh, I forgot a final payment. That cruise booking is going to cancel if I don't make that final payment for my client tomorrow. Or you're feeling very inconsistent with the kind of service that you're delivering to one client versus the other, because the other got lost in a busy spur. So those are the blind spots. The solution to these 3 blind spots is what I call the far from average action plan. So I have recently finished writing a book called The 7-Figure Travel Entrepreneur. And the subtitle is The Complete Blueprint to Building a Rewarding Business and Remarkable Life Selling Travel. And one of the chapters of this book is adopt the far from average action plan. And it's 3 steps to basically counteract the 3 blind spots. And this is really the nuts and bolts of how to get to 7 figures. It's absolutely in the nuts and bolts of how to do that. You have to have a plan for properly monetizing the business. You have to have a plan for building that book of business. You have to have or building an effective marketing funnel, sales funnel, and you have to have a plan for scaling for growth. And when you have a plan for all 3 of these things, it opens up. And we see this happening every single day at Gifted Travel Network with our advisors. We have people going from, being stuck in that accidental hobbyist trap to now a year, 2, 3 years later, because they have gotten the guidance that we give them. They have benefited from our guidance. They have benefited from our community, because others are putting these things into place as well. And now they're growing their business by leaps and bounds. And not only are they growing their business by leaps and bounds, they're loving their life. They're absolutely loving their life, because it's so fun. So let's talk about each one of these pieces. So the first piece of the Far From Average action plan is to monetize your business. So when I decided to go outside the travel industry, 5 years into my travel entrepreneurial journey, I put myself in a mastermind program, a coaching program, and I spent the next 5 years investing in coaching programs and mastermind programs. And for the most part, I was the only travel advisor in my coaching programs. Pretty much everybody else in my coaching programs were coaches. And so I got really, really well schooled on how to build a successful business model for a coaching business. And my dilemma, like, I understood what they were talking about. What they were saying about this business model dilemma, the one-to-one service business model, is that there's only so many hours in the day. And if you're charging hourly, there's only so much, there's a max to how much money you can make. And so what they were saying is you have to learn how to, or figure out how to add leverage to your business model to get you out of this one-to-one service dilemma, a business model dilemma. And so the ways that they were being coached was to do group coaching programs, to or have an info product that can sell on autopilot, or these are all ways to add leverage to the coaching business model. And I was left with trying to figure out how to take what I'm learning and add leverage to the travel advisor business model. Well, lucky for me, I had been, on Wall Street and had learned something about the power of larger transaction sizes. And, people on Wall Street get paid a ton of money, more than most other careers. And one of the reasons why they can pay people so much money is because they are doing deals with very, very large transaction sizes. And so even though you're only making 1% or a half a basis point on a deal, that's a lot of money on a lot of money, if that makes any sense. And so that got me thinking about one of the easiest ways to add leverage to the travel advisor business model. So let's look, and eventually I put this down in numbers in a spreadsheet, and it really jumps out at you when you put it in black and white like this. So I call this a tale of two advisors. You have Any Budget Betty, and then there's Luxury Lucy. Any Budget Betty represents what the average travel advisor is doing, which is ironic because if you look at the bottom number, $50,000, which is the total revenue for Any Budget Betty, it's pretty close to last year's average average income for the travel advisor, which was $52,000. So let's go through this. Any budget Betty's average transaction size is $5,000. That's the average booking size. She's going to get 10% commission on that booking, and she's on an 80-20 commission share. So the average revenue, net revenue per booking is $400 after her host takes the 20%. Let's say she's actually charging a service fee, which is great. It's probably not enough, but she's still charging a service fee. So I give her credit for that. So that brings her back up to $500 for her average revenue per booking. If she does 100 bookings a year, which is 2 bookings a week, which is, you all know, 2 bookings a week is a steady flow. And that is a lot of bandwidth. Dealing with 2 bookings a week, that's a lot of bandwidth. It's doable. Doing more than that might be a little beyond what you can handle. So 100 bookings a year is going to net her $50,000 in revenue, total revenue. Let's look at what happens when you increase the transaction size by 4 times, which is about accurate for an average luxury travel transaction. So Luxury Lucy represents that. So the average transaction size is $20,000. You're going to get a higher commission or yield. Yield is even more accurate on the luxury partners. So the average yield is 14%. And because she is in a 7-figure, she has built up to a 7-figure travel business, she very smartly found a host that offers 100% commission share in exchange for a monthly fee. So she's on 100% commission share. So the average revenue per booking is $2,800, and she's charging a $600 service fee, which she's keeping all to herself because, again, she found a host that doesn't take a portion of her service fees. So the average revenue per booking for her is $3,400 versus $500 for any budget Betty's. Because it's so much more, she can do fewer bookings a year. So she's doing 25% fewer bookings of 75 bookings a year. And her annual revenue is still 5 times any budget Betty's, $255,000 to be exact. To get a true apples to apples comparison, because she has a fixed monthly fee for her hosting expense, let's net that out of her total revenue to do an apples to apples comparison of her total revenue of $50,000 for any budget Betty versus Luxury Lucy's net of her hosting expense, $245,000, almost 5 times as much, even when we net it out. So that is how you monetize the business. It's not the only way to monetize the business. It's not the only way to add leverage to the business model, but it is, we think at Gifted Travel Network, one of the most viable ways to add leverage to the business model, because luxury travel consumption has skyrocketed. The demand for luxury travel is growing, and it's expected to grow even more. All right, so let me just double check. Oh, okay. So I will get to these questions at the end. I've been not looking at the questions yet because I didn't want to get distracted. So I promised to get to those questions to the end. All right, so let's do. I'm going to give you a tip for blind spot number 2, how to market it. And my big tip for truly building an effective sales funnel or building a luxury book of business of luxury travelers is to start with developing a core compelling message and understanding how you shift your marketing from feeling like it's coming from a getting place to a giving place. And the reason why I have this picture of this market in somewhere in a third world country is because I think all of you can relate to what it feels like when you go to a third world country and you're in a very touristy area and you have these shopkeepers or people selling things. They come up to you and they hound you and they follow you and they talk to you and they want you to come into their little kiosk or come look at the fabrics they're selling or whatever it is. But your immediate impulse is to pull away. And the reason why is because they are coming from a getting place. And when someone comes at you from a getting place, you pull back. They are coming at you from a getting place. What do they want to get? They want to get a sale from you. They want to get more money in their pocket. They want to get enough money to pay for food for their family that night. They want to get the sale. But and this is what we teach at Gifted Travel Network, especially to our travel MBA students, is when you start your messaging by identifying what your brilliance is, and you inject your brilliance into your message, you build your messaging and your brand around your brilliance or your unique gifts, there's something magical that really happens. You realize that, I was born with a gift and I wasn't meant to hoard this gift to myself. I am here to share this gift with others so I can make a positive difference in other people's lives. And so if I get really clear on what that is and I create a message that communicates what my gift is in a way that the ideal prospect, is attracted to me like a magnet because I'm coming from a giving place, not a getting place, your marketing becomes magnetic all of a sudden. And not only that, what's super cool about this is your marketing becomes memorable. And even people who are on the receiving end of your marketing that are not your ideal client, they become little marketers for you because they're so like, oh, that's really cool. And I could see how that would be really helpful to my friend. And so I'm going to mention this company or this advisor to my friend because I feel like they really need them. So that is my greatest tip for getting started on marketing effectively is you have to start with developing and cultivating a brand that is magnetic. And the best way to do that is to wrap your branding around your brilliance. When it comes to marketing, there are 3 simple steps to building an effective sales funnel. The first step is to develop that core compelling message, what I just, referred to just now, is you've got to develop that core compelling message. And a great shortcut to that is I help X do Y so that Z. And whereas X is your target market, Y is your brilliance, and Z is the outcome of what happens when you plan travel for that person that really, really needs you. The second step to building an effective sales funnel is you have to establish list building systems. You have to be building your list constantly, always build your list, ABL. Always. And you want to be building your list with ideal prospects, not any prospect, ideal prospects. And there are so many list building strategies out there. And so you just have to figure out what's going to work for you, what plays to your skills, and start putting list building systems into place. And then the third piece to building an effective sales funnel is you have to establish relationship building systems too. So if you're building your list successfully and doing it really, really well, but you're not building a relationship with those people that are now on your list, it's impotent, right? Your list building all of a sudden becomes impotent. That's why you have to marry really effective list building systems with really effective relationship building systems. And the most important thing to do with relationship building systems is to build that know, like, and trust, which you learn about in all kinds of marketing books, ones that go back as far as how to win friends and influence people. I mean, I think he even talks about that in that book, Building Know, Like, and Trust. So our favorite strategy for building know, like, and trust is a weekly electronic newsletter, the tried and true. As long as you follow a really solid formula of, a personal grading, some really good content where you establish yourself as an expert, and then just a little bit of about you. The personal greeting is important because you want them to get to know you as a real person. So these are the 3 simple steps to building an effective sales funnel. And remember when I talked about those marketing pieces and the marketing that you get from your consortia or your host agency, and how they're really, really good and powerful, but they're only a small sliver of an effective sales funnel. Those pieces would fall in number 3, relationship building tools and systems. So once you do number 1 and number 2, then add those people to those lists and use those marketing tools. And it's a great, amazing additional layer to your sales funnel. And that's when they become effective. All right. So I alluded to the Lucy and Ethel episode where they are working at this chocolate factory, and they start out where they have to, wrap the chocolate that's coming out on the conveyor belt. And it starts out slowly, and they are so proud of themselves, and they are just like dancing and singing as the chocolates come, and they're like, yep, I got this. I'm doing a great job. And then the conveyor belt starts to speed up, and they start to get a little frantic, and it speeds up even more. And instead of being frantic, they just start throwing the chocolate everywhere, in their hat, in their mouth, stuffing it down the shirt. You can see Lucy's doing that in this photo right here. So I'm sure if you have been in a place where your business has ramped up, you can relate to what that feels like. And if you don't have systems, if you haven't learned how to delegate and outsource and hire, then you're going to end up like Lucy and Ethel in the chocolate factory. And you will be waking up at 3 a.m. with those 3 a.m. sweats, worried about something that dropped, that maybe you dropped the ball somewhere because you're not. And there are so many products now, subscription-based products now, that you can use to really stay on top of it. So that's the really cool thing. All right. So my biggest tip for number 3 in really getting to the place where you are properly managing the operations of the business is to break down the sales cycle into these 3 phases: the marketing phase, the sales phase, and the service phase. So think about this. On a daily basis, there are a million things on your list, on your to-do list. You are a designer. You are a salesperson. You are an accountant. You are many things, and you wear many hats on a daily basis. So one of the most effective ways to kind of wrap your head around this is to write down all of the tasks that you have to do for one specific client in each phase of that sales cycle. So the marketing phase starts from list building, right? So you're putting your business out there. You've got opt-ins, right? Lead pages or squeeze pages, or you're speaking and you just get a list of names of people that attended your speaking. Anyway, it starts at list building to the point that someone is inspired to reach out to you. So that's the marketing phase. So that's really all about your list building systems and your relationship building systems. That's all of the tasks. So it's the true marketing phase. The sales phase starts from the moment you get an inquiry to the moment you take deposit. That's your true sales phase. So that's, talking to the client, having the inquiry call, onboarding them as a client, getting quotes, going back and forth on the quoting process, until they say, yes, I'm going with this option. You take a deposit. So that's when the sales phase ends. And then the service phase begins from the moment you take deposit to the moment they return from their trip. And this is a phase where you can really shine and distinguish yourself from online booking engines or other competition. And I think there's a lot of people that drop the ball here. And with all of these workflow programs that you can use, you can really automate this part of it too, with sequences and So this is all of the things that you need. And this is where you're going to fill in the skeleton of the itinerary. You're going to layer in concierge type services you're going to prepare them for travel. You're going to manage their expectations. You're going to make sure that they've got everything that they need. You're going to do pre and post. You're going to add the excursions if they're taking a cruise, right? That's the service phase. So what I recommend is that for each phase, you write down every single thing you have to do for one client in that phase. And you look at every single one of those tasks and you start to circle the ones that you love to do and you're really good at. And you star the ones that really drain you and you'd really like to delegate because you're not very good at them. And that's how you start to realize, okay, if I'm going to hire someone, you start to almost create like almost a job description for them. So that's a really cool exercise to, do after this presentation. So really, when you do this and you lean into the systems and procedures that you can create for yourself and the workflow programs that can help you automate those, and then you figure out that there are certain things you can outsource, and then there's certain things that you might need to hire someone. Never be afraid of hiring. I can't tell you how many times I've coached travel advisors, and I've told them it's time to hire, and they come back to me and they say, I can't afford to hire. It's definitely not time to hire yet. I can't afford it. And I say back, you can't afford not to, because if you want to grow, you got to hire first. You have to hire ahead of growth. And being clear on what you're hiring for, go through that little exercise. It's systems and procedures prevent the chaos. Technology really is on your side nowadays, and it's affordable. It's going to help you save time, ensure accuracy, and the strategic delegation absolutely enables growth. And time again, we have advisors in our network that they have now hired, and they've doubled or tripled their sales because they hired one person. And it opens it up. So that is the far from average action plan. You need to figure out how to monetize the business. And we believe one of the most viable ways to monetize the business is to sell luxury. You got to learn how to build an effective sales funnel or properly market the business so you can build a book of business. And you need to learn how to manage the operations of the business. So that's a lot, right? Like, it's simple, but it's not easy. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it. And so what happens is there's an implementation gap, right? I see advisors trying to figure all of this out on their own. And the DIY approach always leads to years and years of trial and error. And they don't have a deep understanding of the how of doing all three of these things. And so you stay stuck. So we are very, very committed to helping people get to 7 figures and beyond for many reasons. Number one, I think it elevates our profession. Number two, I think there are thousands and thousands of people out there that have not considered this career path because they don't think it's a viable career path. And it is. And so I just want more people to learn how to build 7-figure travel businesses. And so what we're doing at Gifted Travel Network is we're actually going to be hosting a 3-day virtual event in November, where we're going to do a deep dive in the how. How do you monetize it? How do you really build that effective sales funnel? How do you manage it? How do you scale for growth? Where each day is going to focus on one of those 3 topics. It's called the 7-Figure Travel Business Summit. It is based on the book that I've just written. So I know you were asking about how to get the book. It's not published yet. It will be published in November. So you will learn how to get a copy of it. But if you register for our 7-Figure Travel Business Summit, you will get a digital copy. It does come with a digital copy to it. So it's November 18 to 20. It's 3 days. And what we're going to focus on the Tuesday, November 18th, is how to monetize it. On Wednesday, 19th, deep dive into marketing it. And on Thursday, the 20th, a deep dive into managing it. One of the really cool, super exciting aspects of this 3-day business summit is that we are also going to incorporate something called a partner lounge that we do at Gifted Travel Network internally for our whole network, where we are going to have 2 different 1-hour time slots each day of luxury partners talking to you for 15 minutes about how having that relationship with a Ritz-Carlton yacht or Four Seasons yacht, or being a member of the Belmont Bellini Club, which is the Belmont Hotel Elite program, is a game changer for you and being of service to your luxury client. I'm really excited about layering that into the summit. So the cost of the summit is $199 for the 3-day event, but we have an early bird pricing going on right now. So it's actually only $99. That is good through October 10th. We do offer an all access pass, which will give you access to the recordings that you can purchase after you buy your ticket. You will be given that offer once you buy your ticket. But for now, if you want to join us for this, it's only $99 for this 3-day event. And all you have to do is scan the QR code here to do that. And at this point, I think I do have time for questions.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Diana, I can tell Diana's excited about the summit. I actually just got in touch with the Gifted team as well, Diana, so that we can get that up on HAR's event page. So if for whatever reason you do lose this, we will have the details for you. So feel free to reach out. Yes, you did see the first question, which was, where can we get your book? Love that. So I'm super excited. I know HAR is in there a little bit, so I thank you. That warms our hearts.
Yes.
We're actually been talking in the background, myself and Rita, who's on the HAR team, and she was like, she wrote a book, and she got really excited. So, because she's here listening too. So I have a few questions, and the first one is actually from
hi, Rita.
Yeah, Rita's with us. So I have a few questions for myself, but I do have one that Diana just posted, which is it a good idea to hire a virtual assistant?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We believe, or what I see is, hiring a virtual assistant is a stepping stone to ultimately long-term hiring someone. I don't think it's something that you're going to depend upon forever. But it is a great way when you're not quite ready for, a full investment in a hire, to hire virtual assistants. Lucia, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Lucia, but it is a fantastic platform for finding really good virtual assistants. And that they have like a whole team, hundreds of co-pilots with different experience and skill levels. And the ability to do all kinds of different things. So if you need help with putting itinerary quotes into Travefy, or Access, then you can do that. Or if you want someone to help you with doing your books at the end of the year, you can do that in Lucia. So yes, definitely. Yeah. But I don't think it's a long-term solution.
Yeah, I agree. And, there's a reason why Turn went and acquired Lucia. So, yeah. All right. Actually just had a question come in, which is great, from Chandra. I hope I said your name correctly. When you talk about list building, do you mean email lists?
Yes. Sorry. Yes, I do mean email list. Your email list is an asset to your business. You can have thousands and thousands of Instagram followers, Facebook friends, Facebook followers. But the most important thing is an email, because you own that. So yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had a question about the list building. So I wrote, it's on my other screen. What you mentioned, that there are multiple ways to build lists.
Yes.
I mean, our email list here at HAR is incredibly valuable to us.
Yes.
And what are some, maybe you could share one or two strategies? You said there were a lot. There's maybe one or two strategies you could share with everybody on the webinar today.
Yeah. Oh, so Facebook ads is a really simple way to build a list. So let's say you love luxury cruises and you want to sell luxury cruises or river cruises. You want to create some kind of an information product that is going to be of great help and education to your ideal prospect who is interested in river cruising. So it could be like your own, the 101 of river cruising. And you create that product and then you offer it for free on a Facebook ad. And all they have to do is give you their name and email address in exchange for getting the free document.
Yeah, no, that is fantastic.
That's like a digital version of list building. So I'll give a non-digital, like a live in-person, old school type of list building is speaking. I just recorded for my podcast an interview this morning, and my advisor that I had on the podcast episode, she lives in a 55 plus community that she moved into a couple of years ago. And if you do that, if you live in a community like that, you could offer to speak on, the best travel for, come up with some kind of a topic for your community. And at the very beginning of the talk, you pass a piece of paper around and say, hey, I only have 45 minutes today, but this presentation is really more like 2 hours. If you want part 2 of this presentation, just put your name and email address on here and I'll email the rest to you.
Yeah. I honestly love that there's so many things to do. And I think sometimes everyone overcomplicates how you can actually go about doing it. Yes. And try to step back and realize that you can do really simple things, and those probably work better than making it too complicated. So I love what your podcast guest. I love that idea. Just keep it that whole KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love it. Ashley just asked a question. I think it's specific to this event, the 7-Figure Travel Business Summit. Mm-hmm. Is the $149 a separate fee just for the recordings on top of the $99?
Yes, it is. It is. And the opportunity to purchase the All Access Pass will be given after you purchase your ticket. So it's not on the actual landing page there. So
Yeah.
But yes, it's an additional fee on top of the 99.
Wonderful. And Patty, very quickly, I know you just posted a question about Lucia. So you can actually go check them out. They have a profile or a directory on the HAR website. So you can go check them out to see what they would be able to help you with, and they'll get right back to you. So you'll see them within the directories themselves, Patty. So definitely go take a look to see what they can help you with. But yes, I believe that they can help you with everything you listed. So definitely go take a look. Banyasha, and again, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, just asked, will the summit talk be about branding?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's day 2 is all about marketing. And so we start with developing a core compelling message, which is the first step in coming up with your brand. So yes, for sure.
Wonderful. Okay, and then I think I have a question that when you were talking about making different lists at the different kind of phases of your client and what you need to do, which I love that. I am all about like write down all the things you start to prioritize and go, like, for me, I hate designing things. I am not a designer. And I've been living the last few days in Canva. But I am not a designer by trade. If that was something I could put on the list to give to someone else in a heartbeat. But there is so much technology out there, and especially travel tech, which is really exciting for this industry. I think coming out of COVID, we've seen so many wonderful things emerge specifically for travel advisors. Will making lists like this help me figure out if it's either that I have somebody personally do it, or do you find that also helps with figuring out what technology solutions I could use? Because I find a lot of advisors get very overwhelmed. There's a lot of solutions, but you don't need all the solutions.
Don't need all the solutions. I think it's amazing exercise for both. So I would start with the exercise and just, and you can keep a working list, right? You're not going to remember every single thing in one go. Mm-hmm. So, you just start keeping a working list, and that alone is just going to help keep your mind clear and not, a tangled mess of all of the different things you still need to do for one specific client. And look to different platforms that can really make it easier, make it faster to do those things and keep you accountable. And then it's also excellent for when you feel like it's time to hire. And my favorite, I'll just add a little twist to the exercise. What I tell people to do is go through that list, each one of them, and rank 1, 2, 3, or 4 each item on that list, each task on that list. Rank it a 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1 is, I hate doing this and it's dangerous that I do it myself.
Canva may have said that directly to me. I don't know.
2 is, I'm okay at this. I'm not great at it, but I'm okay at this. But I don't enjoy it. 3 is, I'm really, really good at this, but I don't enjoy it and it drains me. 4 is, I'm really, really good at this and I love it. And it enlivens me. Mm-hmm. So, and then circle all of the things that are a 1 or a 2. And those are the things you should be delegating.
Yeah. Absolutely.
At some point, you can get to the place where you can be delegating your 3s as well, but start with delegating your 1s and 2s.
Yep. Canva would be, well, no, maybe Canva's a 2 for me. I like learning different things that get me out of my comfort zone. So I do enjoy it, but yes, it takes me a lot longer than I'm used to. You know what? Your team just answered, but Oksana was asking what the times were for the summit. So just for everybody listening, if you're not in the comments, it is from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time each day.
Yes.
And on that note, please scan. If not, I just heard from the Gifted team. They are getting this event up on our events page. So if you miss scanning this, do not worry. You can absolutely search for this on the events page, or in our next email, we're going to make sure that it's featured there as well.
Awesome.
Meredith, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody here. If you have any other questions, feel free to go directly to giftedtravelnetwork.com or to go to the HAR directory, and you can ask them a question directly on there. So thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day and evening. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.